Welcome to the Coaching Life Podcast. I'm Pat Martin. I'm here with my buddy, Coach Chris Stewart. Coach, good day.
Yeah.
I didn't want to ask you how you were doing.
I'm doing well. It's been a stressful week, and we'll get into why. It's been tough. But other than the fact that there's some circumstances that aren't as anything that you would desire to have going on with your family, it's still you wake up in the morning, it's a new day, it's a beautiful day, it's an opportunity to breathe, opportunity to get some things done, and to make some opportunities for yourself, and that's what we're about here. So
I can imagine how you feel, because I haven't felt like this until we just started talking, but when you just said those few words, like I could feel my blood start to boil. My anxiety started to rise. Well, we have a problem.
We do.
In West Virginia.
Let's just get right into it. Let's just get right into what we're going to talk about.
There's not really any way to hold back. I think we were going to talk about continue our series of do's and don'ts, and we'll get back to that.
Yeah, we will.
But yeah, so let's talk about what happened. Let's lay out. And to be honest with you, Coach, I haven't done a ton of research on this. I'm not an expert by any means. I'm looking at it at a very fundamental level, and that's where my frustration comes from. And I was going to say I can just imagine how you feel, because you're directly impacted. You and your family's directly impacted. But we know several people.
Yes,
and there's a lot of people.
And there will be people who listen to us. Listen to this podcast who probably have a direct connection to somebody.
Sure, absolutely.
I mean, we both have. You have a recruit from your high school who was playing baseball at this institution, and then one that plays in our league that I actually helped get there. As well. So anyway, Alderson Broaddus University has closed. That's the sentence. Here's the story.
Yeah. And that sentence makes me mad.
I know. AB's, their Twitter accounts, their social media accounts, everything is AB, whatever their handle is, but it has a date attached to it, and that date is 1871. 1871 is when Alderson Broaddus University was founded. Okay, that's how old this institution is.
Yep.
This week, 3 days ago now, from the time that we're talking here, the West Virginia Higher Education Policy Commission, also known as the HEP-C, which is an interesting abbreviation for.
I never picked that out.
But anyway, it's the commission that has the authority to determine whether or not your higher education institution can confer degrees, can hand out degrees. They made a decision to revoke Alderson Broaddus University's authority to confer degrees this week, effective immediately.
Yeah, which effectively it shuts the
college down. You can't if you can't give out degrees, then there's the whole reason why you exist as a university is to be able to give out degrees, is to educate people and give them a degree. So as a result, then, of course, that the Board of Trustees for AB met the following morning, and they voted to dissolve the university that has been in existence since 1871. And
that's sad.
It's incredibly sad. It's not the only university that's happened to in recent days. I can think back in West Virginia, Ohio Valley University in the last 2 years shut down. Here in Ohio, Urbana University shut down.
But a little bit of different circumstances there, I think. And maybe I'm wrong, and maybe you can explain the difference. Because what I've heard about Alderson Broaddus is basically there's some financial issues.
Quite a bit. Yeah. It's pretty deep financial issues.
Okay, Coach, you say quite a bit.
I mean, I've seen different numbers. Like just to the city of Philippi alone, they owed over $700,000 in utilities. Now, how you allow things to get there, I don't know.
Okay,
that's
but
ridiculous.
Philippi want the university shut down,
and so they worked together with the governor also and the university to work together over the weekend to develop a plan to pay that back. They had an agreement that because Philippi was going to shut down their utilities this past Monday. as of Monday.
Wow.
And that was going to impact them significantly.
Right.
And so AB worked that deal out with them. And so that's when Governor Jim Justice basically comes out and says he's going to do everything he can to delay the Hep C's meeting to vote, because he knew it was coming. They had put out a release that this is we're meeting to discuss this and to do this to essentially shut down Alderson Broaddus University's ability to get degrees, because they have been bleeding money. They've been so far into debt and they can't get out of it.
I got you.
And I've seen numbers. Listen, I've seen numbers as high in the millions of dollars, high millions.
Okay. Well, that may change it. That changes my perspective. High millions?
Yeah.
Like what? Like, give me a number.
Well,
like, give me a high. Like, are you saying 100 million?
More debt than WVU is in right now. Let's just say. I think they're in debt as well, which is interesting.
That's what I'm saying. We're talking about debt here. Mm-hmm. Okay. So this is the direction that I wanted to go with, and I didn't know that the Hep C reached out to the governor.
Oh, I don't know that they did. I think the governor was trying to get them to delay this meeting, and he thought he was going to have some influence on that, or maybe I don't know. Maybe he did. Maybe he said that he was going to, but he didn't really. Who knows?
Well,
right?
I give him credit, because I'm going to be honest with you.
He did make the statement at least.
Yeah. Well, I was coming on the show to blast
Jim
Justice and
go ahead, man.
and
That's
blast
all right.
leadership. Well, let me say, I've got an article here from the Metro News, the Voice of West Virginia. Let me see the quote here. I can't find it. This is from a director from Hep C. Let's see. I'll find it in a second. But what he said was, we just don't see any way possible that this could go on.
I read that as well.
Yeah. So
we don't see any way possible, right?
Right. And that's what I have a problem with.
He even reiterated, there is no way, we don't see any way. And he said, there is no way possible. He reiterated that statement with that.
And that's what I have a problem with.
Definitive moment.
That, first of all, this is coming from a group that is simply taking away their ability to grant degrees. So they're taking action on this situation. So let me just say, I wish I could find his name, because I want to talk to him in first person. But one way possible is just to withhold that decision. You know what I mean? To wait. And I understand.
Yeah. But there are a lot of variables to this that get people fired up. I mean, you're 2 weeks away from school starting, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Football players are on campus right now.
Right. And what I'm saying, we shut, West Virginia was shut completely down 2 years ago because of a virus, right?
Yeah.
And we figured out a way possible. I mean, in that circumstance, there wasn't an easy way. There wasn't a straight way, but we figured out, a way possible. And I don't like this from a leadership perspective. I don't like this mentality of, we just don't see a way possible. That's your job, to find a way. Hey, let me give you an example. Let me give you an example of good leadership in a situation where there's no way possible. I'll give you an example. How about athletic trainers right now in high schools? Huh?
Yeah.
And they're nowhere to be found. We can't find them. Your school was having trouble.
Yeah.
Eastern's having trouble. Mega's having trouble. We can't find full-time athletic trainers for our sports programs. That's a bad deal. We need those people.
You're telling me.
Yeah, well, I know. And I was fortunate
nursed a lot of injuries last year.
I hear you, right? But not only that, but we're not really, we're not
qualified to do that.
Yeah, I mean, we're certified in CPR and first aid.
These people get master's degrees to do what they do for us. Yes.
Yeah. So, we're low on athletic trainers and the ability to provide that service to our student athletes. What did Eastern do recently?
Yeah, Superintendent Nick Detweiler put out a post on the Eastern Facebook, or on the website, which goes out to all the social medias as well, essentially saying, this is where we're at. This is what we have. We have done everything. We have sought all of the medical institutions that provide these as interns. No one is available. No one has responded to us. We need this. We need an athletic trainer for our athletes and our programs. So we're willing to do whatever it takes. Are there any of you out there who are in the medical profession who would be willing to say, hey, I'll take this sport, or I'll these games even,
right.
I'll volunteer
up in the games.
Yeah. I mean, we need somebody to support our athletes in this way,
That's
and you're still not getting, you're still not going to get everything that you get from an athletic trainer on a day-to-day basis, where right after school the kids go in, they get some treatment, they get wrapped up, things like that. But you at least have someone on hand during the contests, right, and things like that.
Right.
So.
Yeah. But that my point is that Coach Detweiler's in a situation there where he can say very easily, well, we did everything we could do.
Yeah.
We don't see a way possible.
There isn't a way possible.
Right. But he's not excited. I think he even used the words, like we have to be creative, think outside the box to get this done. That's leadership. That's what you do. And I feel like in this case, regardless of what, it happened too quick. It just seems like the rug being pulled out. And here's the thing, I'm not bailing Alderson Broaddus out. How does it get that far?
They've gotten themselves in that situation as far back as 2008 from things I've read.
But has students from 2008 known that? Because this board...
Yeah, exactly.
And faculty and staff. Because this board sits there and say, well, we're doing what's best for we don't want the university to cause any more harm to any more people. Okay, but what about the people that are in it? You know what I mean? That's my problem.
Well, you've got people right now. So let's get to the relational aspect of it. Let's get personal. So what does it mean? What does it mean? Here's what it means. I'll tell you what it means for our family. I mean, for my son and his family, he doesn't have a job. Not only does he not have a job, and does all the other coaches at the university have a job, but the unique situation that college coaches are in whenever this happens to them. That is something that you and I wouldn't face. If our company shut down, you and I then were like, oh, crap, I need to go find another job, right? So Brock and Coach Mishler, all these guys, all these other coaches, they know they got to find another job. But their priority right now is their kids, their student athletes.
Right.
The ones that they've recruited to come there, the ones who are there now, the ones who are without a school to graduate from, the ones who are without a place to play, And so so it's twofold, really. I mean, they are working or about to begin. He doesn't even know what he's allowed to do. Like, they've got no communication. They've received no communication about what they're allowed to do. Like, are these kids in the transfer portal, or are they not in the transfer portal right now?
Well,
I mean, they have no idea. No one from anywhere above, from the top, whether it's AB's leadership or the Hep C leadership, the governor, whoever's supposed to be communicating to the people that are actually on the ground doing the jobs, they're not doing it. They're not getting any communication. And that's what fires me up.
Absolutely. Because, there's just no way possible. That's part of that decision, right?
Yeah.
So the decision that you made, you're not following up with it. You're just putting
we just voted. Now we're going to go back and have cocktails.
Exactly. Yeah. That's the problem that I have with that. Yeah, absolutely. I just don't like it. And I think, it's a societal thing now that we've gotten to this mold where we do enough to say we tried, and then it's on to the next thing. You know what I mean? And I think I think coaches can learn from this. We talked about before coming online. How we don't want to just sit here and complain about Hep C, although Hep C is bad, right?
Right.
Hep C and Alderson Broaddus, or the situation they're in. We always want to come on here, and when we talk, we want to be useful.
Yep.
That's one thing we can do as coaches and as players and any type of leadership role that we're in, is we can when you feel like you've done everything there is to do, that's probably when it's time to start figuring out what can be done.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Go that extra step, and then you have that fulfillment of what your duties are.
I mean, life is like that. Everything's like that. Our bodies are built that way. What's David Goggins say, right?
Yeah.
When you feel like you can't do any more, you're just at 40% of your body strength. You got more, right?
Yep.
There is more, and it is. I mean, let's go back to your point about here are all these people right now. So I've been reading. I've been on their alumni page and looking at all the different people who are posting, and saying this is what's happening right now. There are people at Alderson Broaddus right now who are working for free. Now, are they going to get paid? I don't know. I mean, what I'm talking about are people who work in the admissions office, for example. Because what do you do if you're a student? Well, you transfer out. How do you transfer out? You got to get your transcripts. You got to send those transcripts to other schools. You got to apply. And so how many schools do you apply to? Well, I don't know, 3 or 4, as many as I can. I got 2 weeks before school starts in a lot of the cases.
Right.
And so you got people at AB that got to give you your transcripts. So there are people going in, working today, who have probably worked there for 20 some years or more, doing their job, not even knowing whether or not they're going to get paid for it because nobody's communicated anything to them about it, right? And so, and they're answering all these calls all day long. And I saw somebody say, somebody posted on one of these pages, and it ended up being a really good thing. But initially they said, I got a real pissy attitude from the person when I called to get transcripts and things like that. And it's just, and we're upset, because our kids are without a school and everything. And then somebody later comes on and says, hey, you got to remember, you're not the only person that's calling, number one. And two, the person that gave you the attitude doesn't have it. They're working for free.
Yep.
Yeah. They are in the same or perhaps even worse situation that you guys are in right now. Your son or daughter is going to find another place to go to school.
Yeah.
There have been so many other universities that have opened up immediately and said, we will reopen our enrollment right now. You can enroll late. We'll take you. They got 800 students to displace, right? They're all going to find a place to go.
Now, with that being said, they're not all going to
if they want to.
Yeah, they're not all going to find a team.
They're not going to find scholarships to play their baseball, football, whatever. I mean, there's a lot of pain that people are dealing with right now with that.
Yeah, for sure. And that's why I just there has to be, and that's why I go back to to COVID and the way, we handled things and, the money that our government just handed out.
Can we not pay these people for a week, for a couple weeks, for a month to finish their job?
Right. Or those students, you help those students with, whateere they're missing out on.
Yeah.
It's just, and maybe that doesn't, they're
having to pay to get their dang transcripts.
Yeah.
They weren't planning on getting the transcripts and transferring out.
Right.
But can we pay for that at least? Can't somebody, I don't know.
And that might not mean just sending them to West Virginia schools either. If you're doing it the right way, right? If we're really concerned, from a state perspective and from a governing authority perspective about the kids that we're supposed to be protecting, let's help them find an equal opportunity, not just an opportunity. Let's help them find an equul opportunity. And that's probably not realistic, to be honest with you.
It's tough. One thing I do know is I think I saw somewhere where Ohio University, the nursing program at Alderson Broaddus is really good. It's probably their best academic program. A lot of people who want to go into nursing, they'll seek that school out to go to. And a lot of other programs they're not the top end, but that's one of the top. People even compared it to OU's nursing program here. And somebody actually mentioned, where can I go where I know I'm going to get the same quality? And they mentioned, and as soon as that question went out, then people gave institutions, other names of institutions where you could try that, and then you start seeing these other institutions coming out and saying, "Hey, we're saddened by what the situation you guys are going through, so apply. Like we'll find a way to get you in." And so, I think even outside of West Virginia, I've seen a few of those schools. Pennsylvania, Ohio University may be one. I know we have the partnership with the adjacent states now where they get the same in-state tuition, right?
Oh, right, yeah.
And at Pennsylvania, I think I saw some schools in Pennsylvania that have reached out as well. And there's a ton of colleges in West Virginia. I mean, just a ton, and all of them have reached out. But who knows where those are going to be? I don't know. I mean, it's a really bizarre thing, and what's so bizarre about it is that we don't know. It didn't happen suddenly. It feels sudden for everybody that's going through it, but it didn't happen suddenly. And when the bomb finally hits, the missile's been in the air for a while, right? But then when you're on the ground, then it hits. And
you got to deal with the chaos.
You got to deal with the chaos. Yeah. And it's just, so yeah, I mean, that's what, I mentioned to you yesterday, we don't know how many people listen to our podcast, you look at our analytics, it says somewhere around 500 or so, actually 200 and almost 300 subscribers. And then, but then we will get about 500 listens a week usually. So I don't know where those people are coming from, but hey, my son needs a job.
Yeah, right. Well, and is
there anybody out there that was willing to, I mean, and I'll tell you what, there is the baseball coaching community and the collegiate community, especially, is incredible. I mean, and we've said that before. There's something about the fraternity. I mean, immediately, I asked Brock yesterday. He said, "Dad, I've been getting texts and phone calls like crazy ever since the news went out." Some people have just expressing, hey, I'll do whatever I can. I'll put some feelers out for you. But then others saying, hey, here's an opportunity. Now, the opportunities that most of these places have available are like volunteer assistance, right?
Right.
Come here, be part of us, and then you can make money other ways, things like that. And he can't. It's not a position to be able to do that, right? But at least things are happening. Balls are rolling. Plates are spinning, and he's going to land something. Something's going to happen.
Oh yeah. Well, there's no doubt in my mind that, everything will work out for him. But there's, a lot of people are going through that right now too. And I would think that, without even hearing us, there's a lot of places out there that are thinking, hey, we've got a huge employee base here, staff, faculty, admin. They're going to need places to go.
Yeah.
And, it's hard. We live in a world right now that it's hard to find good employees. So when you know that these employees have been working at a place and have been successful for a period of time, that it's easier to bring them in and interview them and hire them, and so hopefully that's things that's getting done. But you're right, they're dealing with that as they are dealing with all these problems with the students that the students are facing now too. I wonder, I wondered what would happen if just everyone just left campus. I know, and now you've got a student body that needs help, and no one's there to help them. What would Hep C do then?
And the compassion, the humanity of these people, they'll never do that, right? They're going to help these kids. It's like a family, right?
Yeah.
And
well, you talk about finding a way.
You're right. What if you decided, I gotta go, I'm sorry, I gotta go find a job. I can't go in and do this.
I wouldn't be able to hold that against them.
No, of course not.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, like you're talking about people that are in that admissions office taking those phone calls. What if there was no one answering the phones because they decided, well, we don't have a job?
Man, I think about, I work in information technology here, the IT department, and I think about the work that I know that our registrar's department does on a daily basis. Admissions, bursar. These people work hard, and it's not easy to do what they do, and to think that they're there knowing that they got to go somewhere else. They need to be out there finding another job, and then two, that they could possibly they've been told that they're going to get paid. I don't know. They
have to. I've got to believe that at least at minimum, those people, the ones that are day to day running the university, right?
Yeah.
I mean, there is no university to be run anymore, but the Hep C did say those who are graduating in December, if you're a senior and you're graduating in December, you can still graduate from AB, finish, you can finish. So I don't know if that means come on campus and finish, or if it means like do online studies, but there has to be, somebody's got to be communicating how this is going to be done.
Right. And I just wonder why they think that's such a great
we'll throw you this.
I mean, what about your juniors?
Oh, I know. Or your seniors that are graduating in the spring.
Yeah, exactly. True. Good point. Come on. Well, you're throwing that out to make why? Why is that a decision? Is that part of there's no other way? Like, is there really no other way for the seniors that are graduating?
I'm wondering if they're going to get an exemption and just say, here, I mean, you don't. I mean, we're going to let you guys graduate. I mean, you're graduating in December anyway. You've only got a few classes left. I mean,
who has the authority to do that?
Well, that's a good question. I don't know.
Because that's a good point. You know what? You know what I think would be fair? To give all those students their diplomas
this year.
Everybody. You signed up as a freshman, you get your degree. I think that would be fair.
That'll get you on your feet quicker, right?
Yeah.
Right.
You know what I mean? So, how about that? Have you discussed that, as a possible way? I don't know. I wanted to preface the conversation, I think I'm not an expert on this situation. I haven't done a ton of research. I just look at it from a very fundamental perspective. And I know there's a lot of people suffering right now.
Yeah.
And the answer of...
But not as many that were when we sent everybody home in 2020.
Well, yeah,
right?
That's true.
I mean, we're talking about hundreds of thousands versus a small campus of people who...
Right. That's true. Yes.
1,000 or
right.
two, right? A couple thousand.
So it should be an easier problem to deal with.
Exactly.
Yes.
Right.
Exactly. That's exactly what I'm saying. Yeah. Yeah, good point. That's what I wanted to say.
Yeah.
But,
so if you're listening, pray for all these people with us. That if you have the ability to help in any way with any, if you are a college coach and you've got some spots left, that we know. Brock's been retweeting. And that's the thing. Is like I've just been retweeting this stuff that my players are putting out, but like I would be more active in helping them contact these other schools if I knew I was allowed to. Yeah, but somebody's got to communicate that to them.
Right, and people might be, some of our listeners might be saying, well, this happens, guys. This is life. You lose your job. But I guess what makes it different for me and different from, other schools that because of financial issues had to, like, what was it? Denison, was it? No. What's the Ohio school that
Urbana?
Urbana, yeah.
It was like in 2021 or so, 22.
That wasn't because their ability to hand out degrees was revoked. They recognized that they weren't going to financially be able to run their business.
Yeah.
So they shut down.
They voluntarily shut down.
Yes.
Yeah.
This has been prompted by, and maybe I misunderstand that too, but to me it sounds like this has been prompted by, Hep C's decision to say you can no longer give out diplomas.
Oh yeah. In fact, they were fighting it. They were like, we're gonna do this and that. We've got other plans. We got, they had another president that they had just recently approved to be hired. They're in an interim presidency situation right now, and they were building. This was not something that anybody part of that institution wanted to do.
Yeah. So it's to me, it's different. It's not, just it's not a failed business venture. It's not it's a little bit different. It's they've been, to me, they're in a situation, but I feel like the university may have got them in that situation, but I feel like the students and the faculty and staff were put into a worse situation now because of the decision that was
I read
made.
somewhere where they said, well, this had to be done because so they projected that for Alderson Broaddus to run through December, through Christmas or whatever, it would put them in another, based on the debt they have now and everything, they put them in another $30-some million worth of debt, or and then to run for the entire year, another $90 million worth of debt. So it was just piling on. So
$100 million.
At some point, you got to say, cut them off, right? And that was kind of, that's layman's terms, just me like paraphrasing 1,000 different articles that I've read in the last few days. But that's trying to provide both sides of it, right?
Sure.
Like they may have been in a situation where it was just going to be impossible. At some point, you got to pull the plug.
Right.
I guess my question is, why can't we pull that plug at the beginning of the spring,
or
at the end of the spring? In the summer?
Or why can't that be? Hey, listen, prospective students,
yes,
faculty, staff. This is the situation that this college is in. I wouldn't expect, a university to say that, because it might
your enrollment's going to.
Right.
Your whole risk, your lifeblood is your enrollment,
right?
And
but it's almost
one
like
of the reasons why they're
secret.
down is because of the enrollment. The enrollment was cut in half practically over the past, from 2020.
Oh, really?
When Brock first started there.
Oh, really? It was why 2020?
I'm thinking there was like 1,400 students or so when Brock started there.
Yeah.
In 2017, 18.
So now there's only
800.
Wow.
Or less than 800.
I bet are.
Yeah. Which is, it's we in jest kind of say, well, the decisions we made during COVID did that, but they could have. I mean, we built our enrollment back up here.
Enrollment
you can
ebbs and flows.
And you just gotta be better. You just gotta be better. I mean, the people that they got there because people weren't doing a good job.
Mm-hmm. Sure. Yeah.
In positions where they had influence to grow the university, they took it the other direction. So.
Right. Yeah, it's unfortunate. Difficult situation for a lot of people.
Yeah.
I guess, for me, I hope that when we find ourselves in these situations that we can't find another way, that we make sure that's a genuine statement. And it's not just
if you get
a statement to end your effort.
Yes.
Really,
you get to a point, and if you get to a point in life,
what are you going to do?
Where you're like, there is no other way. There is, there is more. I mean, that's actually a very serious thing because we're talking about life or death in some people's cases where they feel like.
Well, and that's
what I'm saying.
Yeah,
there is another way.
But you know what? That's even in that situation, they're saying that's a way. You know what I mean? They're doing that as an out. That's their answer.
Yeah.
As sad as what that is.
It is incredibly sad, and it happened here recently. In Athens, right?
That's
true. And if there was just a way, I mean. It's an epidemic right now.
You're right.
Desperation is an epidemic.
It's almost
desperation is an epidemic right now.
Yeah, it's something that's ingrained in our society for some reason, and we're struggling with it a lot.
Well, I'll tell you something that I'm very grateful for, and this is it's timely to say this right after mentioning the epidemic of giving up on life. I'm grateful for the knowledge that Brock and Allie have faith in a sovereign God.
Yeah.
And what I mean by that is, when I say sovereign, I mean like this moment feels devastating. Mm-hmm. And I actually sent a text to Coach Mishler, and I said this. I said, but I know that we can trust in the promise of Romans 8:28 and know that in all things God works for good. For those who love him.
Yeah.
And while it may be difficult to see in the immediacy when you're going through the circumstance that you're going through and what appears to be devastating today is devastating and feels devastating. It's not like you're falsely feeling this. It's you can have the confidence of knowing it's going to be used for good. It may not, you may not see it today. You may not see it tomorrow. You may not see it for a year or two or years, but there's going to be a day when you can look back on it and say, look at the good that God has done. And that's a promise. That's a promise. And here's the thing. And I always make sure that I say this whenever I'm teaching on this passage, because it's easy to throw that out there. Oh, don't worry, God works everything for good. That's not what it says, right?
Yeah.
But it says all things. He works good in all things according to his plan and purpose for those who love him. You can trust that good is being done in all circumstances if you are someone who loves God and pursues him. This promise does not mean that all things in and of themselves are good, even though it feels bad. There's a weird teaching out there in Christianity. It's not Christianity. In fact, they call it's like a word of faith teaching that says, oh, this feels bad, but it really is good. It's not. No, it's not good. It's bad. What's happening to you is bad. These things that are happening, that are occurring around you, are not good in and of themselves. Some events are decidedly bad. But what it does mean is that God, and I tell you, those two words, but God, comes up a lot in Scripture, and they're incredible because they usually transition from learning about who we were and then learning about who he makes us to be. Mm-hmm. And that transition is, but God. This is what he does. He is able to work these things, work things together for good because he sees a bigger picture in your life. He has the master plan. And so I can sit here today and speak confidently. And I know that Brock and Allie feel the same way, even though it doesn't take away the stress completely, but it does help with, it helps with the worry, doesn't it?
That's joy.
Which is actually a sin. Worrying is.
It is,
right?
yeah.
Because we shouldn't need to worry because
Right.
of these kinds of promises.
Yep.
And that is where the joy comes from, that we've talked about before as well, that the circumstance isn't good. It's not a happy circumstance, but the reason I can have joy is knowing that He is working.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
It's a core of coaching.
Yeah.
You got to have something to fall back on. And, there's a certain amount of preparation that you do that typically that's what you fall back on.
Yeah.
If your preparation is strong, you it's easier to get through those hard times. If it's weak, it's not as easy.
Yeah.
And the person that you are and where you put your faith has a lot to do with how strong that preparation is, how strong that foundation is. So yeah, that's one. I mean, we've talked a little bit through text and things like that about the situation and where Brock and Allie are at, and I just it's for me. I feel for them, but I know that they're going to be okay because I know not one I know they're going to figure it out because as people they're winners, but two, because I know where they come from a faith perspective. Mm-hmm. So it'll work out.
Yeah.
They'll make it through it. Is the bottom line. So
yep. Hey, I mean, and a lot of people understand this principle, whether they follow Christ or not. I mean, if Ryan Holiday, who wrote the book "The Obstacle Is the Way," it's the same. I mean, sometimes in order to truly get something great in life, you got to go through the obstacle. You can't go around it.
Yep.
You can't stop. You got to keep going. And obstacles are going to come up. Sometimes the way to get to your next great thing is through the obstacle.
Absolutely.
And sometimes those obstacles are presented to you right away, and you didn't know it was coming, and there it is, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And sometimes you don't know when you're going to get that payback, or you're going to be able to use it. It might be years down the road. It might be a very small opportunity, but it's an experience.
Yeah.
And getting through it will make you better.
No doubt. So I would say to everybody out there that maybe that does have some connection to Alderson Broaddus University, whether you have a son or a daughter who goes there, or you yourself are from there, you're there, you graduated from there or whatever. I mean, there's a lot of frustration and anger, right? Mm-hmm. And I would I've had to remind myself of who to direct that, where to direct that, like we're not told to not be angry. There are some things that we should be angry about in this world, but it says the Bible says in your anger, do not sin.
Yeah.
And so, be frustrated at the situation, be angry about the circumstances. I get that, right? You can be overwhelmed about it and thinking about it, right? Those are all valid right now, but remember that sometimes the people that you're frustrated with and angry with, I'm sure that they're probably people who Brock recruited and committed to come there, who are probably in their back of their minds thinking, oh, you mean you didn't see this coming? Like thinking he's a shyster, right? For recruiting him, no, he didn't see it coming.
Well, I think that could be a fallout for other colleges, in this situation for West Virginia. That was the first thought that I had, because this board decided to, what's going to keep them from doing that at other universities. Yeah. So I thought that might be a negative. But you're right, and I would say even for me to the frustration that I feel when me sitting here saying there's got to be another way. I wish I could have thought of that guy's name, but there's got to be another way. Well, I'm sitting here, impacted. Obviously, I have an opinion, and it's
mm-hmm.
impacting me. What's my way? What am I going to do to respond to this situation? It can't just be there's no other way but to come on the podcast and complain. You know what I mean? So
right.
that's part of the leadership that I'm requesting out of these people and out of everybody. I think that's what we should all strive to be is problem solvers, and not just not problem identifiers, but problem solvers.
Yeah. Absolutely. And we spent a big portion of the day yesterday and last night moving forward.
Yeah.
Looking up jobs, applying to jobs, seeing that, and things are happening, right? The ball is rolling for our kids, and I'm sure that's happening in a lot of homes and households right now, as well. And people are stressed, but when you get through this, you're going to be better.
Sure.
Yeah, we're going to be better.
Yep. I agree, Coach. Good word.
It's sad for this institution that's over 150 years old.
Yeah, I mean,
the very first battle of the Civil War, that was considered a battle, right? The Battle of Philippi, was that the first battle of the Civil War?
I don't know. That's where it was.
Their admissions office overlooks the hillside where it reportedly took place. The skirmish. It wasn't really a battle; it was a skirmish. The Battle of Philippi.
Seems so
and there's a monument
no
out
way
there
to keep something like that going.
Yeah. So maybe So this podcast today was in honor of a longtime institution that is ceasing to exist now, and also in honor of all those people that have given blood, sweat, and tears for it, and your time and your effort, and praying for you that you'll find that next great opportunity for you, your sons, your kids, your daughters, your parents, maybe. Yeah, I mean, people that there are people that whose lives they've had a lot of invested in that. I've seen people posting in tears saying, I not only went to that school and met my spouse there and got married on the campus there, and now I'm on the alumni association. I've given so much. This is a death in my family, essentially.
Absolutely.
The relationships that you develop, and that there are time periods in your life where you look back and like, this was an incredible. This was a pivotal moment in my life. These 4 years, or how many years you were there, and it's just gone.
Yeah,
it's just taken away.
Yeah, purpose. It's those people find purpose in this place.
Yeah,
and for when you lose that you think this is part of my purpose in life, that's a hard fall. It really is.
Sure. Yeah.
But there's still other purpose. If there wasn't, you wouldn't be here. So. Yeah.
Well, and let the lesson be, and that be, don't allow anything that's temporary be your purpose.
Yeah, that's true. That's a good point.
I mean, things are temporary.
Yeah.
In this world.
Yeah.
Everything in this world.
Everything is. That's true. Yeah, that's a good point. Good word there too.
Well, thanks for talking with me on this as well. Kind of using it as a little public announcement to all the coaches out there as well. That have some compassion on some of these players and the coaches.
I think it's a good lesson. Anytime you get compassion's a great word, and if you can put that word into perspective, or any of the things that we talk about into perspective, where you can say, here's a use case.
Mm-hmm.
How do we feel about it, and how are we going to handle it? How are we going to deal with it?
Right.
It's just an opportunity to learn a little bit more.
Sure.
So, hopefully people out there listening didn't turn us off halfway through, but
it's a fascinating story.
It is. It really is.
I mean, it's a different podcast for us, but
I would say many ways people maybe not even know.
Yeah, it might be news to some people.
I didn't know. Chastity sent me an article there the other day, which I asked you about. Kind of.
I got a lot of texts that day, like, what's going on at AB, right? What's up with AB?
I think that's exactly what I asked you.
And the first couple I got, I'm like, I have no idea. I don't know. And then I started looking on the internet and went, oh, I guess they're closed.
Yeah, it just stinks. Just stinks. It's unfortunate.
Yeah.
Life will go on.
Indeed.
Well, Coach, probably talk to you next week.
Yeah. We'll get back to it.
Do's and don'ts.
Yeah.
See you guys.